The time is now. Zack Snyder's Justice League is finally here. This Snyder Cut is now streaming on HBO Max, and this movie is just so amazing. This is just like the perfect superhero movie. Like, what more could you ask for from a Justice League movie? Because obviously it's not perfect, but it's way better than Justice League or whatever that disaster was. And this was just so good. You really got to see the whole Justice League on display, and you get to see all these characters develop so well. And if you haven't already, you can check out my full non-spoiler review on my other channel, The Movie Life. So if you haven't seen the movie yet for some reason, then check that out. But for those of you that have, this is the full-on spoiler review, discussion, and breakdown, where we are breaking down the big spoilers and crazy moments from this movie. And, of course, this movie is 4 hours. It's a long movie, but to be honest, it really doesn't even feel like it when you're watching it, because it just flows so smoothly, and that's what I love about it, is because, like, you're still entertained throughout the whole movie. But because it is a 4-hour movie, that's a lot to cover, so for the most part, I'm just going to be covering basically part 6 and the epilogue, because that's really where all the big stuff happens. Parts 1 through 5, there's some pretty cool stuff happening in there that we didn't see in Justice League, but for the most part, there's nothing huge, and I will touch on some of those things, but for the most part, we're focusing on the last hour-ish of this movie, because that is where things really get insane. But before I get into all my thoughts on this, guys, of course, let me know all your thoughts on the spoilery stuff from this movie in the comments below. But without further ado, let's jump into this. So, real quick, a couple things before we get into part 6. Was Lois is pregnant. It was a really quick moment here that you may not have noticed, but there was a scene where Lois, she was in bed, and she opened up her drawer or something, and there was a pregnancy test in there. And I mean, it's not 100% clear, but I'm pretty sure that means that she is pregnant. And, if we ever do get to see this story continued, then we may be seeing Superman with a son, a Superboy possibly. We're already seeing that on the Superman and Lois TV show. I love that show, so I would love to see that in the DCEU as well. So just a real quick thing I wanted to throw in there. Other than that, not really anything huge in prior to part 6. I will be making a whole bunch of separate videos breaking down other little moments as well throughout the week, so of course stay tuned for that. But let's get into the juicy stuff, starting off with the Flash's time reverse, which was something I was not expecting. One of the few things in this movie that I did not see coming at all was when the Flash had to reverse everything, because basically the bad guys won. Darkseid and Steppenwolf, the mother boxes, came together and formed the Unity. Everything exploded, and the Flash was the only one there, and he had to save everybody and reverse everything. And it was really a crazy moment that I did not see coming. Like, we saw from the trailers he was going to do some sort of time travel thing, but I did not expect to see him do this. And I thought it was pretty crazy, and it did not go the way I thought it would. But then bringing it back to, all right, yeah, they do save the day and everything, and then it ends up being that, Darkseid is there, he's watching them, and then that sets up for the future, where Darkseid now has a grudge against the Justice League, and has a reason to come to Earth to battle the Justice League, because they took down his number one lieutenant, Steppenwolf, who he didn't really have a great relationship with anyway. But yeah, I just thought that was an awesome scene there. Then Silas Stone, actually this was something that happened before part 6, but we'll talk about it anyway. So he sacrificed himself, and this was actually spoiled in the DC Fandom trailer, that he sacrificed himself. But at first I was super confused, like, why did he do this? But it was just really cool, the explanation of, like, he sacrificed himself so that they could track down Steppenwolf. And man, just the relationship between Silas and Victor, and just Victor in this movie was really, I think, like the greatest character in this movie. They cut out basically his whole story in Justice League. I was like, why would you do that? This character was so amazing here. Seeing how much of a hero this character really is, like how in college he hacked into the grading system to change the grades of his friend because she like lost her home or lost her family or something, so she wasn't doing good in class, and like how he gave that lady the win at that lottery slot machine thing. He was just a really nice guy, and that was before he was even a superhero. So I loved seeing stuff like that with Cyborg, and that was just really cool. But now continuing on with the final battle, Steppenwolf, great villain here. You actually got to develop his motives here. He just wanted to go home, but apparently he betrayed Darkseid or something, which we don't really get revealed too much on what he did to betray Darkseid. But Darkseid is not happy with him, so basically he is the one that has been sent out to do all his dirty work, and he can't come home until he succeeds. So I thought he was way better than what we saw in the theatrical cut. And in that final battle, how Superman actually like lasered off his, I guess you could say, ear or like horn, that was awesome to see. That was really cool. And then how Wonder Woman chopped off his head, which was really, violent, but also how it like flung through the portal and rolled to Darkseid's feet. That was just awesome. But again, I'll make other videos breaking out other smaller stuff here, but we got to talk about this epilogue here. So the epilogue is where things really got crazy. So first of all, Ryan Choi, he wasn't in this much, but he was like sprinkled throughout the whole movie, and he was a pretty interesting character. He didn't do much, but I like the actor in this role, and this really makes me want to see some sort of spin-off, whether that's a movie or an HBO Max series about Ryan Choi as the Atom, because this is something that was set up here. And I really want to see this happen. And that's really what the whole epilogue was about, was setting up other DC projects that we may never see, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we do. And then, of course, the Hall of Justice, that was something in the theatrical cut, but still cool to see here again. Barry getting a job at a crime lab, that sets up for the Flash movie, how he joins the CSI, so I really like that development. That was also in the theatrical cut. Superman, I think it was interesting how at the end when he went back to the Daily Planet, he was still wearing the black suit. So if we do ever see this character return, I wonder, like, is he just going to continue with the black suit? Like, obviously he will go back to the red and blue suit at some point, but it's interesting that he still wears the black suit, which, by the way, I am a little disappointed they didn't explain how that was meant to be like a Kryptonian healing thing to regenerate his powers, but then again, that was a whole Warner Brothers thing. They wanted to do the red and blue suit, but yeah, so then also we had the Lex and Deathstroke scene where it was pretty much the post-credit scene from the theatrical cut of the movie. But this time, instead of Lex Luthor trying to set up the Injustice League, this actually set up the Batman spin-off movie, the Ben Affleck Batman movie, where Lex revealed to Deathstroke that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And then it was also revealed that Deathstroke actually has a grudge against Batman and wants him dead and everything. So I thought that was some great setup here that was really, it was a really small moment here, but it really did a lot to set that up. And just what we've heard about that project, this Batman versus Deathstroke movie, I really want to see that. And that's something a lot of fans have been asking for years now, is just a Batfleck HBO Max series, because I highly doubt we'll get that as a movie. But as an HBO Max series, that might be even better, because then you can do other stuff. Bring back Jared Leto's Joker. Do other stuff. There's so many other great characters you can bring in there. And that was just awesome. I loved all that. But now, guys, let's talk about the Nightmare stuff. Something that was very small. I expected it to be bigger, and I didn't expect it to be like just at the very end, but it was kind of like a post-credit scene for this, even though it was kind of like just an extended ending here. And just the setup for this world was crazy. How when they were resurrecting Superman, how Cyborg had that vision of the future, of the nightmare future, where we saw Wonder Woman dead with like the coins over her eyes. Aquaman was dead as well. That was actually spoiled in the trailer, but how we saw Darkseid with his Omega beams blasting through Aquaman, that was awesome to see as well. You saw the Hall of Justice in a pile of rubble, as well as Kilowog. Did anybody else notice that? We literally saw Kilowog in this movie. He was dead and on the ground, but he was still there. So that was a great moment that I loved seeing there. And then when we get into the actual scene at the end of the movie, we start off by seeing these evolved parademons, which are much more insect-like than they were in the rest of the movie. So I thought that was a pretty interesting advancement or adaptation there for those creatures. And then we get introduced to, of course, our Nightmare squad here with Batman, Cyborg, The Flash, Mira, and Deathstroke, and of course Joker. We'll talk about that in a second. And all of their looks were amazing, especially Deathstroke. Cyborg looked more or less the same. Flash looked really cool as well. Mira, she looked cool and everything, but she just had a weird British accent, even in her earlier scenes. Like, that was just weird. Like, why did she have a British accent? Like, she literally dubbed over her original lines from the original movie in earlier scenes from the movie, just to do a British accent. Like, I don't know why that was a thing, and it really threw me off, and I didn't really care for it. But really, the big thing in this scene, the thing that everybody was looking forward to, that really, really lived up to the hype, was the Joker. Just Batman and Joker finally getting to see these two versions of these characters interact after never seeing them interact before, except like slightly in Suicide Squad, but not really. And I just love how Joker was just teasing Batman with the death of Robin and all that stuff, and how like you can't kill me because you need me, like we're best friends and everything, because you need me to help undo this world that you created by letting Lois die. And that was just awesome how they called it a truce and everything, and he was like, as long as you hold this card, we have a truce. And that was probably a bad impression, but yeah, that was just awesome. And Jared Leto's Joker is just such a huge improvement from Suicide Squad. I just love this. He's such a wild card here, and you can tell that this version of Joker he's not a man, not anymore. This is a complete insane monster that has lost his marbles, and he's just off the rails. Like I said, he's just a wild card, and you never know what he's gonna do. And he was just so creepy and fun and just awesome in this scene. I love Jared Leto's Joker here. He was just so awesome. But then at the end of this nightmare scene, of course, Superman shows up, and it's like, oop, they all dead, except we don't actually see them die, so maybe they somehow survived, although how you gonna survive that? It's literally the Man of frickin' Steel. So, I don't know, but that was awesome. And then Bruce wakes up. Apparently that was all a dream, and I wasn't expecting it to be a dream. I was expecting it to be like an actual like 20 years later or something like that. But no, it was a dream, just like how it actually was in Batman v Superman with all that stuff. But it is still a vision of the future that would have continued on in Zack Snyder's future Justice League movies as well. But when Bruce wakes up, he has a visitor outside, because he is at his mansion, or no, not his mansion, his lake house or whatever. So really nice place. I'd love to live there. Nice quality home. But then Martian Manhunter shows up, and wow, Martian Manhunter's awesome. He's barely in this movie. We do get a scene earlier in the movie where he was disguised as Martha Kent. That was where we get the first reveal of this character and his design. And his design is way better than I thought he would look. I mean, the CGI is a little you could tell they kind of had to rush it. But I think the overall design was awesome, because one of the things that, like, concept art and promo art of this character in this movie showed him with, like, the cone head. And I don't like Martian Manhunter with the cone head personally, but I love how in the movie he actually had the round head, just like he does in the comics, in his OG design. So I loved seeing that. And it was very similar to his design on Supergirl, yet also different and better, I have to say, definitely, with, like, I don't know, like the detailing and texturing on his face. His suit was cool. He had like no sleeves or anything, so he's like, ooh, I'm edgy and stuff. And yeah, he was just really cool. And when it was first revealed, like last year, that Harry Lennox's character, General Swanwick, was actually Martian Manhunter the whole time, I was a little concerned. I was like, really? That guy's Martian Manhunter? But hearing his voice with the character, I really liked it, honestly, overall. And, you know, it's a pretty simple scene there at the end. You can tell that they reshot that with Ben Affleck because he's, like, skinnier and stuff. But Yeah, it was also a little weird because, like, Martian Manhunter's just like, all right, I'll be in touch. And by the way, you can call me the Martian Manhunter. And Bruce is, like, not affected by that anyway. He's like, all right, see you later. It's like, bro, you literally just introduced yourself as the Martian Manhunter. It's kind of weird that Bruce would not be concerned by that at all. Like, he literally just said he's hunting men. But, I mean, that is his name. So, it's a cool name, you gotta admit. And yeah, that is where the movie ends, and it is an epic movie overall and a great ending. And again, this whole ending, this whole epilogue really sets up for all these different DC projects in the future that we may never see, but I really want to see because, hashtag restore the Snyderverse. There's so much potential here, and everybody was so hyped up for this movie. Everybody that has seen this movie so far loves this movie. Everything I've seen in reviews, I've seen like maybe one or two bad reviews, and it's like selfish, like stupid reasons for not liking the movie. So I don't know. Zack Snyder's Justice League is just amazing, and I don't know if we ever will get a continuation of this story because, again, you never know. Like we were lucky to even get this, but I don't know. I have a feeling that this movie is super duper successful, and Warner Brothers would honestly be stupid not to continue this on. And it would mess with their plans that they have now with like the Flash movie and the Batman and Black Adam and Shazam and all that stuff. But maybe they continue on with that storyline, and then we continue the whole Snyderverse thing, maybe just on HBO Max. Maybe that is going to be the home of the Snyderverse, which I think might even be better for Zack Snyder because, he's better at doing this longer stuff. We saw with Batman v Superman, the ultimate cut was 3 hours, way better than the theatrical version. This movie, 4 hours, way better than the theatrical version. So with HBO Max, with streaming really is the future, and you can do way more with streaming. You can have longer things. You can do series. You can do movies. You can do a lot with streaming, and really streaming could be the home of the Snyderverse. You could do all of these different projects and then still allow DC and Warner Bros. To go and continue on with their other stuff in theaters and everything, if that's what they want to do. And, if they never connect the Snyderverse to what they're doing in the future with the DCU, I mean, it'd suck, but, sometimes you can't control what happens. And Zack Snyder was kind of teasing things a little bit yesterday when he was asked if, like, is there the potential for a Zack Snyder's Justice League 2, or, like, would you come back for a sequel? And he just said, like, never say never. So I feel like I just have a strong feeling that we're going to get something, whether that is Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 or a Man of Steel 2 or a Batfleck HBO Max series. I just feel like we are going to get some sort of continuation of the Snyderverse, and that just gets me really excited, and I really want to see this because there was so much potential here with this movie that was set up, and it was set up so perfectly with all these different characters. Ryan Choi's the Atom, Martian Manhunter, all these other characters like Cyborg Cyborg was an amazing character in this movie. Give him a spin-off movie. Give him an HBO Max series. I don't care which one. Just give it to me. He was so phenomenal in this movie, and I just cannot say enough good things about Zack Snyder's Justice League. We were all super hyped up, and at the same time, we didn't want to get hyped up to the point where we were disappointed, but we were not. This is everything that we wanted, and I'm just so happy for Zack himself that he got to finally bring his vision to life. And I also love how the movie ends with, after the Martian Manhunter scene, it says, "For Autumn," because of course this movie really is a dedication to Zack Snyder's daughter, Autumn Snyder, who is her death is the reason that he had to step away from the project in the first place, and really one of the reasons he decided to actually continue this and actually do Zack Snyder's Justice League for everything, for all of us, is not only for the fans. That's one of the big reasons. But also, side note, he didn't get paid to do Zack Snyder's Justice League. He was just doing this for the fans and for Autumn, because Autumn was a huge fan of these comic book characters, and he wanted to make her proud, and he did, and he made all of us proud too, and I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. And again, who knows what the future may hold, but for now, we have this superior version of the Justice League movie. It is so beautiful, so phenomenal, and yeah, wow. So guys, of course, let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. You can go full spoiler mode because this is a spoiler review. I just talk about all the spoilers and everything, and yeah, let's do this. Let's have fun with this. There's so much to talk about. Again, I am doing other videos on this throughout the week, so stay tuned for that. But for now, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.